that there's no better place to drive drunk than British Columbia.
An outrageous statement by Kelowna criminal lawyer Wade Jensen, who has been biting his tongue ever since the BC government introduced so-called tough new drunk driving legislation last year. Under the new law, police in BC can issue an immediate roadside prohibition, or an IRP, to an impaired driver. The penalty includes an immediate 90-day license suspension and a series of hefty fines. Sounds tough, but Jensen says the new law actually decriminalizes drunk driving.
But what the public is not being told is that the far heavier consequences of a criminal conviction are being lost, so that drunk drivers no longer have to face anywhere near the consequences that they used to face.
Constable Chris Need is a subject expert on the new IRP and confirms what Jensen says. If you're caught behind the wheel over the limit and it's your first time, you won't end up with a criminal record.
It does not involve a criminal charge. It does not involve a charge of any type. It's an administrative sanction, and it does not involve court or any form of charges under the criminal code.
And that's what Jensen is hot under the collar about. He says the crime of drunk driving has been watered down to the equivalent of getting a speeding ticket.
And in my opinion, it's a massive fraud on the part of the government. And in my opinion, anyone who cares about honesty in government or who cares about serious and heavy penalties for impaired drivers should be absolutely outraged at this spin that the government has put on this situation.
To add to his frustration, Jensen says he personally knows of repeat drunk drivers who are being issued IRPs when in fact they should be appearing before a judge to face criminal charges. Under the old system, pulling over a drunk driver would take a cop off the streets for up to 6 hours. Under the IRP, that's now down to a fraction. That means more boots on the street and less court time. Translation, money. And Jensen figures that's the real motive behind this so-called tough new drunk driving legislation.
And at the same time, they're saving a great deal of money in terms of court costs. And those court costs come in the form of judges' salaries, prosecutors' salaries, court staff, even the very buildings that court operates in.
Despite Jensen's allegations that the government is getting soft on drunk drivers, there's one stat that is tough to argue against, and that is, for some reason, perhaps as an indirect result of the new legislation, fewer people are being killed on BC's roads.
Impaired fatal collisions have decreased by 44%. Since the time of the implementation of the IRP program. So that's a stat that nobody can ignore.
In Kelowna, Kelly Hayes, Castanet Media.